Very superstitious. Wash your face and hands, my friends. Yep, when you're definitely believing things that you don't understand, it's superstition. And that's what we're talking about here today of California saltwater fishing. Thank you for joining us in our latest installment. So, we're going to go over 5 different superstitions. Some of them may be superstitions that go outside of California, others are just for us. So, take a listen. Let me know what you think. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe and like this video, as well as if there's a superstition that you'd like to see covered, please put it in the comments below. And in the meantime, let's check it out. Have a good one. Number 5, the Kelp Greenling. This is a pretty interesting fish that you see mostly up in the northern part of the state, not so much down here in the south. I actually did come across these when I would go fishing out of San Francisco. Went out of there with the Soul Man charters with Captain Don. Awesome dude. And he's actually the one who told me about the rumor or the superstition regarding these beautiful fish. As you can see, they're very colorful and a very unique fish. They're actually a relative of the lingcod, of all things, one of the few relatives of them directly. And you catch them when you're out there fishing for rock cod, rockfish, and lingcod, that sort of thing. They show up mixed in with the catch. As you can see, the males and females look a little bit different from each other. And there's also another relatively close cousin out there called the rock greenling, which looks kind of similar but has a little bit of a brighter red color. Again, for folks who haven't fished much north of, say like Morro Bay and that sort of thing, probably aren't seeing a lot of these greenlings, but up north they're pretty common and pretty cool to see. And supposedly the superstition is that for women, if you are to touch one of these, you will most likely become pregnant in the near future. So, for those needing that sort of, situation to be taken care of, by all means, go up north and fish for some kelp greenlings and hopefully, grab away and see what happens. There was actually a deckhand who was a female on Captain Don's boat who was his daughter, and he said that, he was pretty much going to punch anyone in the face if they let his daughter touch one of those. So, perfectly understandable. So, very cool stuff. If you guys have any run ins with the kelp greening and like to mention it below, love to hear about it. And next on our list, we have the swell shark, a very interesting fish that we run into once in a while fishing at night, especially off of the piers. When I was a kid, we would run into these fairly often off of Santa Monica Pier while fishing at night, or on some of the barges like in Redondo Beach and that sort of thing. You would run into these guys. Not very common, a very weird looking fish for sure. Typical type of cat shark, like a horned shark or others of the similar sort of variety. Not a bad looking fish overall, but actually a bit of a much maligned creature. A lot of bad superstitions kind of revolve around this fish. There is a relatively common and unfound superstition that if you actually do release a swell shark back into the water, that it will actually cause the other fish in the water to take off. That they'll actually, be bad for fishing after that point, so you're not supposed to return them to the water. However, they're not a good eating fish either because they do have some serious consequences if you decide to eat them, including incredibly awful diarrhea and nausea and stomach problems that would make you wish that you hadn't done it. I'm not sure why that happens, but they're not good table fare by any means. So, unfortunately, a lot of people do just kind of kill them because of this superstition, which is incredibly unfounded. There you can see one as it's been inflated. They'll just gulp in air and inflate themselves like that. They'll do that to protect themselves from predators. If a larger shark or something has already eaten them, they will start to inflate themselves to make themselves less appetizing. And they'll also go in between the rocks and inflate themselves as well to try to get as big as possible and stuck in there so that predators can't actually get them out. So this is a bit of a defense mechanism, and I've actually heard that in aquariums they've actually ingested water and shot it out at people as they pass by. So, but unfortunately, they are given this horrible reputation of causing fish to not want to bite and want to leave the area. So unfortunately, some have been killed, like these two that were left for dead on a via pier. I'll leave a link in purefishing.com that goes a little bit more into this, but this is an unfortunate and awful superstition. This brings us to number 3 on the list, the superstition surrounding the Mola Mola. This is the largest bony fish in the world. They can exceed weights beyond 2,000 pounds, and they travel all over the warm oceans of the world. We see them out here in Southern California, but the superstitions seem to come from Polynesia, where these were once called the king of the mackerel, and anybody who killed one of them would prevent further fish from being able to swim and find the islands. So they were often highly regarded and prized, and people definitely kept their hands off of them. I guess the superstition continues out in this part of the Pacific because oftentimes when they're seen in the wild, they are avoided and nobody wants to hook in with them, and definitely nobody wants to touch them or harm them in any way to prevent any of that bad superstition from ruining a day's fishing. But definitely interesting fish to look at, that's for sure. I came across this thread on Bloody Decks where an angler happened to land a Mola Mola after catching it, and they made sure to release it to the water before it died, and they even did 3 left turns one after another. I guess that's a way to shake off the bad mojo from landing one of these things, even though they did release it into the wild relatively unharmed. And one tradition that seems to exist worldwide is eating the first heart of the first tuna or fish that you catch that year. It's a pretty interesting idea, and here's my son actually eating his first yellowtail heart. You can see all the guys in the boat congratulating him. It's definitely a rite of passage as a young man and sometimes as an older man too. You can see also coming up another fella that's eating his first heart from his first yellowtail too. Some folks do this on every first fish that they catch of the year. Others just do it on the very first fish of a particular type of species, but it's considered good luck because it's kind of like you're taking the essence and the spirit of that animal with you and hopefully making it a part of your experience for the rest of your life. Every once in a while I like to eat a good tuna heart. I can't deny it myself. It's good stuff. Well, everybody, that leads us to number 1 on the list of superstitions, and that is, of course, the banana and bringing bananas onto a fishing boat. As you can see right behind me, I've got a banana painting, and that's actually because one of the companies I own has the name banana in it. So as such, I tend to not bring my business cards onto the trip just to prevent any sort of additional mojo. And it is a funny topic about the banana, and it's one thing that I've run into my whole life. I've even seen boats with a picture of a banana and a red X through it, and I've been on fishing boats in different places, and the theme seems to be generally that you do not bring a banana on the boat in any shape or form. It's funny because in some of my research on the topic, I've actually seen that people have gone so far as to ban people with Banana Republic clothing, or to ban banana boat sunscreen, or anything with banana anywhere in it or anywhere near it, because of that same sort of bad mojo that's associated with it. But then again, I've been on boats with folks who've never been fishing before, and they show up and they all of a sudden bust out a banana and start eating it, and they're the guy who catches the jackpot fish. So who really knows what it really means? But it is kind of funny that it seems to be pretty universal that bananas are bad to have on a boat. From what I can see, there's some evidence that it goes back to the days of when they used to transport bananas, and they would often be infested with other types of bugs and insects and things that just made it pretty nasty to transport the product around, and some people would get sick because of those bugs, or they get bitten by a spider, and it was just considered not a good thing to have on a boat or transport. It seems to go back to that, as well as there's some talk about how the sweetness of bananas, and once it gets on your fingers or on your hands, that somehow the fish can smell it, and they are they just hate the smell of it. It just doesn't jive well with them, so they decide to swim off and go find something else, and they just will avoid the boat like the plague. So it is kind of a weird concept that does seem to come from those olden times of transporting bananas, or just people thinking that somehow you're getting it on your fingers, and then the banana smell is very distracting to fish. So who knows what the truth is. I still don't bring a banana on the boat for the life of me. And you've even noticed that people tend to avoid wearing anything yellow on a boat just because of that same sort of purpose, anything banana like. So it is kind of funny. So yeah, make sure that when you're going on your trip that you avoid bringing a banana, because you'll probably be the least popular guy on the boat. So that has it for our list of top 5 superstitions. Hope that you enjoyed it. Hope that you learned a little something, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know if there's any that you'd like to see on future videos, and we can do some research and get into it a bit and see what they're all about. And in the meantime, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. I really appreciate the support. It's great seeing, even 10 subscribers, and hopefully we can get 10 more and just keep going from there. So as I said, please let your friends know all about this, and please feel free to reach out to me, send some comments, and love to hear from you. And until then, I'll see you out on the water. Thank you so much.